fans. The Seattle Seahawks might be flying south for the fall, but tonight it's the Kingdom enthusiastically embracing round 4 of the AMA Supercross Series. Hello, everyone. Art Ekman along with David Bailey. The legend lives on. Jeremy McGrath winning his 32nd career victory at Anaheim last week and is gunning for his 4th consecutive victory this year.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. The kid has been outstanding so far. Led almost every single lap. At least last year he made a mistake at Anaheim, got a bad start, made things interesting for a little while. But the other riders have had 3 opportunities really to get things dialed in, and they just haven't seemed to be able to close that gap. And maybe the planets have to be lined up, the birds have to be chirping or something for them to present a challenge.
Taking a look at the Suzuki 250 point standings, McGrath, of course, the perfect 75 points. Larocco moving into 2nd place last week. But the emerging story, I think, is the young Kawasaki pair.
Well, as you can see, Huffman moves into 3rd in the points with an impressive come-from-behind ride at Anaheim, finishing 2nd. And his teammate Hughes, who fell in the heat race, injured his hand, but he still doesn't sit too far back in the points in 6th place. So Kawasaki right now perhaps represents the changing of the guard.
Kawasaki hasn't won a Supercross championship since Jeff Ward did it back in 1987. So the signing of these 2 youngsters fits right into Roy Turner's plans.
Basically for us, we've had Kudrowski retire, and Larocco's left and gone to Suzuki on his own accord. So for us, it's right now it's a rebuilding time, and we're looking a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road at trying to put a team back together that's got the potential to bring the Supercross championship back home to Kawasaki.
Moving from 125s to 250s is a little like graduating from high school and going to college. It's like starting all over again.
Yeah, 125s, you know, it's different. You know, it's like a different ball game, I guess. 125s, you can go out there and win. You know, Damon showed that last year. You know, you can go out there and win almost every race and just look like, you know, you're the best guy in the world. But when you get the 250s, it's a whole nother, you know, it's a whole nother stepping stone. You got to start all over again. And you know, I think, like again, it's just competition and confidence. It's what it is. You know, once you win on 125s, it's like, oh, I can beat these guys, no problem. But then there's another step, which is like Jeremy and Emig and stuff like that, which I think, you know, we're up to right now. So it's just that, again, like I say, it's confidence.
I think if he lost that aggressiveness, that Rhino style, that, you know, that it would be a deficit to him for sure. And as far as trying to keep him, you know, keep him smooth or try to make him smoother than he is, you know, it's just something that when I have time, you know, when I can get away from the shop during the week, you know, go out with him and you know, just while he's practicing and everything, you know, watch him, and he'll come in and ask me what he thinks, or excuse me, what I think, and you know, I'll give him my opinion and everything, and we try to sit down, you know, and watch the coverage of the race, you know, the week before, you know, and we've got videos and everything. We can sit down, a lot of slow motion stuff. And I think probably for him, I would have to say the video footage, the slow motion stuff is probably, you know, the biggest asset as far as trying to keep him smooth, and him seeing it, you know, and being able to work on it, you know, using that.
The impact of Damon Huffman was almost immediate. His 2nd place last week vaulted him into 3rd place in the points race.
After finishing 2nd at Anaheim, my confidence is a lot higher now, and I proved to myself that I could do it. And now up here in Seattle, of course, my goal is to finish up in the top 3 again, and it would be great to hole shot and, you know, run with Jeremy, because you know he's always going to be up in the front. So another top 3 finish will be great, and I'm just looking for a good start.
Well, Damon is capable of doing anything he wants to do. He's extremely talented. He picks up on what's going on the racetrack very quickly. His racetrack savvy is very, very good. I think that's his biggest asset. The other part is that he's young, and he's like a sponge, and he absorbs whatever he needs to absorb to help him win, and that's another asset for him.
We feel like it's more than anything just us sharing our experiences that we've had over the years and just giving them a little bit of time to grow. And the enthusiasm is there more than I've seen from any riders on our team, and probably since the early Jeff Ward days. And it almost feels like that, to be quite truthful. Our early days, maybe back in early 84, 85, when Jeff really started coming on. It's that same type of deep enthusiasm that these kids emanate, and that's a big part of any rider becoming a champion. If you don't really want it, you're never going to achieve it.
Well, you know, in talking with Brian Lunas, he feels the same way he did at Honda the years that I was there when he tuned for Hanna and then Rick Johnson. And the camaraderie between the riders, the competition between the riders really elevated our riding skills and developed a better motorcycle.
Kevin Windham this year has been to Yamaha what the two Kawasaki riders have meant to Kawasaki. He has totally dominated the 125 Western Division, looking for his third consecutive victory tonight.
Right. Well, as you can see from the point standings, Kevin Windham already has a 15-point lead over James Dobb. And the surprise there has been Greg Schnell, who surprised himself, perhaps surprised me and Kevin Windham, I think, as well, with a great ride at second place at Anaheim. And I think another surprise in this West Coast region is David Pingree, who expected to win this region, and he's been on the ground a lot so far. So if he can keep it on two wheels, he'll be a challenge.
Anything can happen in the 125s. As we take a look at the future 1996 Supercross schedule, remember, we are moments away from exciting Supercross action. In a lot of areas for passing, there is no sand for the first time this season, David Bailey.
Well, I don't think they need any sand here, Art. It's a sandy-like soil that they're on. A long start into a wide first turn this week. That leads into a rhythm section. Goes into the first triple jump. Round to the finish line. There's an option, get up to the finish line, where you can either do that or jump up onto that finish line plateau. A sharp left, a tricky little step-up section into the next triple. Not a lot of run at that triple jump. It's going to be tough. Finally, the long whoop section. That's going to get rutted as the night continues. The soft dirt is rutted everywhere. The riders are going to have fits with it as the night continues.
For those of you new to the sport, the qualifying procedures are as follows. Each rider runs one of two qualifying heats, with the top four gaining the transfer directly to the main event. The rest head for the semifinals, where the top five makes it to the main event. And the last 2 weeks in a row, a factory rider has had to go to the LCQ to make the main event. Those only two remaining spots would be determined in what is known as the LCQ. The 32nd board is up for the first qualifying heat of 250s, and we're set for action here at the Kingdom. It's get nervous time for the riders, David Bailey.
Well, it ought to be, Art. It's stacked with talent. There's 9 guys in here that could potentially win this heat race.
Let me remind the fans that the Kingdom is an unusually noisy dome. It has a cement roof, and so if David and I can't hear ourselves think, you'll know why, because the reverberation of sound is terrific. And listen to the rev. They're run for the whole shot, and it's Albertine, number 16. Greg Albertine, the former 3-time champion on the Suzuki. Brian Swink was close. Damon Huffman has now moved into second place, but Swink takes over second place on the dribble.
Bradshaw right behind the first 3. Swink put a nice inside pass on Damon Huffman, and Huffman was smart to let him have it.
How long can Albertine stay up front? He's done well in the heat races.
Well,
let's check it out as Swink makes the move in the corner.
Right, he seems to have his most trouble in the main events, but the heat races are only 8 laps, so he might be able to hang on to that.
They head for the double trouble, and it's still Albertine. Number 16 with Brian Swink, number 23. Number 10, the very fine rookie 250 rider, Damon Huffman, and that's 28, Damon Bradshaw. Bradshaw now has moved into third as Swink challenges for the lead. Brian Swink with Honda of Troy.
Well, a lot of difference of lines through there. Everyone's decided a faster way through there. A lot of different options, but still, it's a great battle up front. Swink putting the pressure on Albertine, and he hasn't cracked.
Remember, only the top 4 positions will get a shot at the main event. So anticipate a real battle for that number 4 position. Right now, our battle is for the lead in the gate. Swink has trouble in the corner.
Here comes Bradshaw on the outside. Bradshaw with a different line. He's going to go wide through this option section. He passes him. You never know who's going to come out ahead there. I think the loop section is going to separate these guys. Bradshaw on the outside seems to be keeping the bike flatter through there.
Kyle Lewis making a move, number 11, on Huffman. And so right now, the first 4 positions, Albertine, Bradshaw, Swink, and Huffman, with Kyle Lewis right behind him.
Art, I've never seen a heat race this close ever. We've got LaRocco, we've got Ryan Hughes way in the back of this pack. It's tight.
Let's go down to David Combs in the pits.
I'm down here with Steve Butler. This is Damon Bradshaw's mechanic. Steve, how important is a heat race win to Damon after that catastrophe in Anaheim last week?
Well, for sure, I'm sure he's bummed from a 19th finish at Anaheim. But not only is it really important for that, it's a good heat race will give him a good pick on the gate. And I think that was kind of something that really hurt him last week. A bad pick on the bad gate, a bad start, just kind of went on from there. But it looks like he's up to speed and looks good.
We'll see how Damon's recovery goes.
Okay, Albertine still in lead, but Bradshaw is going wide now into the first turn. Wants to take it away from him. A good box out. Nice move by Albertine. Albertine, a good position rider.
Well, he knows how to hold people off. He's done a fantastic job of it. Bradshaw's got a lot of pressure right now, as you can see from Brian Swink and now Damon Huffman, who's got a fast pace right here. But I've never seen these riders bunch so close like this, Art.
Running out of time right now is also trying to make a move is Mike LaRocco. LaRocco is now in 6th position. We'll be back with the finish of our first qualifying heat from the Kingdome in Seattle. Right after the qualifying heat number 1 for the Supercross 250 main event. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs bringing it your action. It's Albertine, who has had his most impressive ride of the season here in the qualifying heat.
Well, I would say it's the most impressive because he's got everybody. Look at the talent he's got right on his tail. He hasn't had any kind of a lead. He's had pressure the whole time, and he just hasn't made any mistakes. Usually, he'll bobble here and there, and that's what lets these guys get around him.
It is going to be some kind of finish in heat number 1. Damon Bradshaw putting the pressure right now on Albertine. Swink cased it over at the Big Dipper. Had trouble getting off that high hill. Damon Huffman still in front. Bradshaw, Albertine now out in front as they head toward the triple.
Well, that's the beauty of that option section. They just went through there. Each of the guys jumping in with a different rhythm, but Albertine still hanging on to that lead. And look at the pressure. All 3 of these guys right on his rear tail. They're all starting to take the same lines now, and as the track gets rutted, you'll probably see more passing, but right now everyone's going the same speed.
David, I can't at all hear what you said, but here comes Bradshaw. Damon Bradshaw as he heads for double trouble, and a lapper's in the way. It allows Albertine to take the lead.
Yeah, once again, Albertine seemed to have slipped back to second, but with that aggressive style, he goes around the outside, pinches off it. Bradshaw shuts the door and retakes the lead.
Swink in 3rd, Huffman in 4th. That's the transfer position, but LaRocco has moved into 5th for that final transfer shot. Bardabar with Bradshaw getting the advantage coming out of the triple. Oh my goodness! LaRocco has moved into 4th. It's Bradshaw, Albertine, Swink, and LaRocco. Kyle Lewis, then Damon Huffman. And here comes Mikkel Pichon right behind Huffman.
And somebody's going to get bumped here, Art. You've got LaRocco, you've got Pichon, you've got Ryan Hughes, Huffman. Maybe these guys aren't going to be able to get out of this qualifier. Look at all those guys.
Oh, that's a great shot coming out of the whoops of the leaders. Damon Bradshaw on top. Albertine in 2nd place. There's LaRocco, number 8. He's in 3rd, getting by Swink. And Kyle Lewis is going to put pressure on Swink.
Bradshaw, look right here, looks like he's starting to get a little breathing room. He's starting to relax and run his own lines. That's enabled him to get a little lead over Albertine.
What a comeback effort for Damon Bradshaw as we have Albertine in 2nd place along with Mike LaRocco, number 8 in 3rd. It's Swink and then Kyle Lewis holding off Huffman. Last lap.
I think Bradshaw rides better on this softer soil. Swink squares off LaRocco. They dice it side by side.
Oh, what a battle for 3rd and 4th. That could be important should they rub. Because right behind them, ready to take advantage, should they either one of them go down, would be Kyle Lewis.
And look at all those guys in the camera come through the whoop section in this final lap. It looks like unless Huffman and Pichon and Ryan Hughes can pull something off, they're all going to get bumped from this heat race, have to go straight to the semi along with Kyle Lewis.
Right now, Damon Bradshaw with a fairly comfortable lead as he takes the triple with ease. Heads into the step-up section. Still flawless, Damon Bradshaw. Approaching the finish line. Damon Bradshaw with Albertine, LaRocco, and Swink qualified directly to the main.
What an amazing heat race. I've never seen it that close ever. Fantastic race.
Seattle in the first qualifying heat. Damon Bradshaw has to be a happy man, as it's Damon Bradshaw along with Greg Albertine, Mike LaRocco, and Brian Swink, after breaking early, hung in there really well, David.
Oh, I thought he did a fantastic job, as did Albertine. Both these guys, usually with that kind of pressure, tend to make mistakes, but they were solid tonight.
Well, I think what Damon Bradshaw might have to say will be interesting as we go down to Davy Coombs.
Down here in the winner's circle with Damon Bradshaw. Just won that first 250 heat here in Seattle. Damon, after last week in Anaheim, this has to do a lot for your confidence.
Yeah, it does. It does a lot for it to, to come out and be able to win a qualifier and not have to ride the rest of the races tonight.
What about the track tonight? We know there's a lot of rocks out there, but there's a lot of ruts too. Is the track starting to break down a little bit?
Yeah, it's a little ruddy, but I mean, the guys are staying on top of it, and the track's staying pretty good. You know, usually it's pretty ruddy here in Seattle, but they're doing a good job.
Finally, were you aware of the battle going on behind you? There's about 6 superstars back there.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, that's Damon. We're going to see what we can do in the main event. Let's go back upstairs, Art and David.
Well, we had some great riders, David Bailey, that did not make it and have to go to the semifinals.
Well, it's unbelievable. Kyle Lewis, Damon Huffman, Mikael Pichon, also Ryan Hughes, who went off the track at one point and recovered. All those guys in the semi.
Okay, we're getting set now for heat number 2. And we've got none other than Jeremy McGrath, Michael Craig, Phil Lawrence, Steve Lampson, Jeff Emig, Mike Brown, Ezra Lusk, Larry Brooks, Denny Stevenson, Larry Ward back into action after being injured. Larry came back from Europe and in the off-season really didn't know how bad that thumb injury was, but found out it was a broken bone and has been able to really to just recuperate.
Well, he seems on fire tonight. He had to ride the preliminary qualifier because he hasn't ridden any races this year in the 250, and he ran away with it. John Dowd also had to ride that race because he's been on the 125 so far, and those guys were fast. And I think Larry Ward, since he's not in the shot for the title, he's just going to take it race by race and let it all hang out.
Let's go down to the starting gate. Davy Coombs.
Supercross has long been known for all the ruts on the track, but tonight the riders got something else to think about. Look at the rocks down here. I don't know if these guys are wearing chest protectors or not, but it's something they might want to think about tonight.
You can bet. You can bet. I think I might want to give my chest protector to my mechanic, because as the riders come through there and into that starting line, there's rocks flying everywhere.
That's a fact. As we get set now for our second heat in 250 qualifying.
See the riders wait until the last minute to put their goggles on. It's pretty hot and humid in here. It's cold outside. It makes those goggles want to fog up, so they wait till the last minute.
So the rest of the 250 hopefuls up next now to try to qualify to go to the main event.
Got John Dowd on the far inside. McGrath just on the inside of that starting booth.
Jeremy McGrath has won every heat so far this year as we're in round 4 here in the Seattle Kingdom.
Well, heat 1 was incredibly close, and we've got the same kind of talent in this heat.
We're set. That gate can drop at any time, but it does. Breaking out in front, Emig to the inside and to the outside. It looks like, is it McGrath? Yes, Jeremy McGrath, number 1, but Lampson right behind him. I had to wait and see which teammate was out there.
And John Dowd has gone down in the first corner. He's slow to get up. He seemed to be favoring his foot, but McGrath was brilliant. He got pushed around coming out of the gate, and he's in second place. I don't know how he did that.
John Dowd trying to come back from previous injury from Minneapolis. In the lead now as we head into the first triple. Jeremy McGrath. He looks back at Jeff Emig as if to say, what happened to you?
Well, Emig wasn't able to do that triple, and Jeremy, brilliant. Every race this year has been able to take over the lead in the first lap, and he does it again here in Seattle.
And through the whoop section, Jeremy just turns on the afterburners. Taking the straightaway, looking for turn 1, has opened up a sizable lead. As Lampson, we see number 4 in 3rd place.
They got a good battle for that final transfer spot, and Phil Lawrence just stole it away from Michael Craig, slipping around the inside of him.
It's Jeremy McGrath, followed by Emig. Number 4 is Lampson in 3rd place. And Lawrence in 4th place. He's on the cusp as Michael Craig, number 17, is pulling up close.
This is a great battle for the final transfer spot. There's a lot of guys behind them. You got Ezra Lusk, you got Larry Ward, the hometown favorite. It's a close battle between all of these guys.
Jeremy McGrath is gone in first place as we look at the rest of the contenders battling for the 3 remaining positions to go to the main event.
Well, everybody's tight, and once again, they don't even get a look at Jeremy McGrath. Emig last week believed he was in the best shape he's ever been in and ready to ride that 250. And he's trying to redeem himself here after crashing at Anaheim, but it's nowhere near McGrath, nor are these guys, but they're battling amongst themselves, starting to pull away from Ward and Lusk now.
Well, things are pretty well defined right now, except for Craig and Lawrence. You see it right there, number 13 and 17 battling it out for the 4th and remaining playoff.
It's a tricky little step-up section leading into that triple. There's ruts developing in that triple, making it really tough to get over that.
Jeremy McGrath leading our second heat, and we'll be back with the conclusion. Qualifying from a noisy kingdom with 4 more riders looking to get top gate positions in the main event. Jeremy McGrath is our leader, but as you see, we pick up the action with Jeff Emig in 2nd place and Steve Lamson in 3rd.
Yeah, it looked for a while like Emig was going to be able to go up and challenge McGrath, maybe hang with him and leave Lamson in the dust, but Lamson now hasn't given up. He's staying pretty close to Emig and may be able to present a challenge in the closing laps. They've really started to pull away from this battle you're seeing now. Lawrence and Craig. Lusk is starting to tag along with these guys. Looks like Larry Ward now is starting to drop off the pace. He hasn't run with these guys all year long. He's had that injured thumb, so that's his excuse, and I think it's a solid one.
You know, David Bailey, I think a number of the fans come, of course, to see the greatest Supercross rider of all time, Jeremy McGrath. But often overlooked is the tremendous depth that has developed behind Jeremy McGrath. And we're seeing it here in that some top riders are not making it to the main event out of the qualifying heats.
Right. Well, I mean, the semis are going to be loaded. It's bad news for the independent teams and the privateers. Now Lamson starting to challenge 2nd place as Michael.
Oh, Craig goes down. In spectacular style, coming out of the whoops, Michael Craig, the Honda of Troy rider, went flying. And here's Jeremy McGrath. He's way out in front in qualifying heat number 2.
And back to what you're saying, Art, there's so much depth in the talent. Watching practice today, there was fast riders everywhere on the racetrack. And as we saw in the first heat race, a lot of guys going the same pace. Any number of 7 or 8 guys probably could have won that thing, so the start's going to be critical.
6 seconds behind our leader, Jeremy McGrath. We see 2nd and 3rd place. This is the real battle remaining as Lamson is putting the heat on Jeff Emig.
And I think we need to keep our eyes on Lamson through that whoop section. The last lap at the end of this whoop section right here, Lamson challenged Emig on the inside into that corner. We'll see if he can do it again.
With Craig going down, it is Lusk moving up to try to challenge Lawrence for the final transfer spot as we take a look at the closest battle of the qualifying heat.
Well,
there's Jeremy McGrath way out in front and is smooth in his style.
Yeah, he's the only trouble he has on the racetrack are the lappers, and he's just threaded the needle through there as now Emig and Lamson are starting to catch up to these guys. They're aware that the leaders are coming through, so perhaps it makes it a little easier for them to slice their way through. But Lamson is showing Emig a wheel everywhere, putting the pressure on.
It'll be interesting to see what's on Mike Gosler's pit board. I'm not sure Lamson has time to even look at a pit board right now as we're on 2nd and 3rd. Oh, just a little bobble by Emig, but Lamson couldn't take advantage of it as they go by the lappers.
Well, the ruts through those jumps are getting deeper and deeper as the laps wear on. They have their favorite lines. If there's a lapper in that rut, they can't even do a simple double jump, and McGrath's out front jumping everything and pulling away.
Jeremy McGrath, Jeff Emig, Steve Lamson, Phil Lawrence with Ezra Lusk trying to catch up with Phil Lawrence to knock off that final transfer spot.
Well, Phil Lawrence is hanging on solidly to 4th place now. He's pulled away from Lusk. Larry Ward's starting to close up a little bit now, but looks like unless he can get it going, he's going to have to go to the semi.
Last lap, Jeremy McGrath has it knocked once again, and Jeff Emig getting a little bit of room on Lamson.
Well, I think Lamson's going to try to make a run at Emig in that whoop section again like he did a couple laps ago. He's got to get close, though.
We're on the last lap, and Jeremy McGrath, in a class all of his own, so far this year in Supercross action, as he is preparing for his 4th consecutive Supercross victory of the season. He already has 3 in a row. 32 career wins for number 1 so far this year, or in his career.
He's all business tonight, Art, not doing any knack-knacks or much showing off on those triples on the last lap as he approaches the finish line. Flash is going off. McGrath wins the first heat by a mile. Emig hangs on to second. He opened up a little lead over Lamson on the last lap.
And Jeremy McGrath, Jeff Emig, Steve Lapson, and Phil Lawrence getting the transfer to the main event out of our second qualifying heat. And once again, a lot of riders, guys like Ezra Lusk and Michael Craig, not able to make it. They have to go to the semi-event. Let's go down to Davey Coombs with Jeremy McGrath.
We're back down here with Jeremy McGrath. Jeremy, 4 heat race wins, 3 main event wins. What's these guys going to have to do to beat you?
Well, I don't know. I didn't show any signs of being so fast in practice. I felt just average, and that race, it just got some fire into me. I think I feel it tonight, and hopefully I get a little bit better jump on the gate.
What about Damon Bradshaw winning his heat race? We had a really bad night in Anaheim, but tonight it looks like he's on top of his game.
Yeah, Damon looks like he's charging. He was charging that other heat race. There was a lot of pressure. Those guys were having quite a battle. But, you know, I don't know if, I mean, looks like he's riding good. Hopefully he gets a good start, and maybe we can do some battling, but hopefully not.
Well, we'll see if Jeremy can make it a perfect 8 for 8 this year. Let's go back upstairs to Art.
Your impression of the track, David Bailey, now after the 2 qualifying heats. It looks like it's starting to rut up more, but it doesn't seem like it's slowing the action down.
No, that's a really fast pace. As you see, McGrath taking the checkered flag. It's business as usual for him. Another win. And, you know, I think as the ruts develop, it's going to make it tougher, and you're probably going to see more mistakes, which will allow more passing, and they keep fixing it with the dozers. I don't think they should maybe rethink that theory. As long as they make it smooth, everyone goes the same pace, we might not see any passes.
The semifinal rounds, always bar-banging affairs. They're coming up next. Our Honda flashback, that's for sure.
Well, you know, everyone would have thought Johnson would have gone on to win the Supercross title, especially after winning 5 in a row. Seemed unstoppable, which is a lot like what Jeremy's doing this year, but you never know. Supercross is very unpredictable. Johnson would later hurt his wrist, force him to retire.
Okay, the riders are getting ready for our second stage of qualifying. The top 5 out of the semifinal round, and Kawasaki's out in front. Number 10 is Damon Huffman taking the turn first.
You just got a glimpse right there of Pichon, who got stuck in the gate. He sucked a couple guys into it with him, but the main guy was stuck in the gate was Pichon.
Number 10 is Damon Huffman. He's followed by his teammate Ryan Hughes, number 5, and that's Jimmy Button in third, number 100.
Well, Huffman has been really happy with his speed. He thinks he has the speed to go out there and run with McGrath, but unfortunately he has to do it from the semi, which is going to give him a lousy pick to the gate for the main event.
Damon Huffman and Hughes, 1 and 2 off the triple as they go to double trouble.
That's really getting tough through there. You can see the rut starting to develop. Even these pros, I mean, when you see these guys making mistakes, you know it's got to be tough.
Oh, good battle, bar to bar almost there with Huffman and Hughes in the whoop section. They come over that challenging Big Dipper and hit the straightaway at a fairly slow speed. It's a strategic race right now.
Well, I think these guys are comfortable with being able to run out there in first and second. They've already got a little lead over, looks like Sean Kalos and Jimmy Button back there in third and fourth. These guys are all going to make it to the main, but...
In second place is Ryan Hughes. Let's go down to Davey Coombs, who's with his mechanic.
Guys going to get their teammates?
Well, I mean, this is semi. It's not the main event, so the first objective is to qualify. I mean, I don't think it'll be too much aggression out there. I hope not anyway. Just like I said, we want them both in the main. Main event, that's a different story. You know, you get down the last laps, they're just like this. I'm sure, you know, depending on who's up front, the other might take some shots.
All right, we'll see what happens. Those two guys get together in the main event. Art, back up to you.
Okay, right now it's Damon Huffman and Ryan Hughes. They're tire to tire. And you know, Roy Turner, their crew chief, was telling me earlier that these two guys have almost been too polite toward one another.
Well, I think that's a concern because they're treated so polite. They usually find themselves together. They have so far, at least this year. And riding that way against each other, they let the leaders get away. So he wants them to get a little aggression, maybe even provoke each other a little bit to get mad, because when they get mad, they go fast.
You know, we've got a great battle for first place here in the semifinal, and there goes Ryan Hughes. What a nifty move.
Well, that's what I was talking about the lap before. You can see they had a lot of trouble through there because of the ruts. That's going to give these riders fits all night. The ruts get deeper and deeper, and like I said, a simple double all of a sudden becomes very challenging.
He's known as Rhino by all the riders. Rhino can use up the track pretty well, too.
Yeah, he sure can, but I think like Wyatt said, this is a semi. These guys aren't going to take any unnecessary chances. Probably Ryan had a lot to learn from his teammate Huffman. Now Huffman in turn is going to learn from Ryan. So these guys are showing each other all the tricks out there on the racetrack. That's good for Kawasaki in the main event.
Okay, we've got Hughes number 1, Huffman number 2, Button and Kalos 3 and 4.
And then Jeff Matasevich, right there as you see jumping up onto the plateaus in the final transfer spot.
So potentially we've got some outstanding battles here in the first semifinal round, and we'll be in the semifinal round number 1 as we see right now Jeff Matasevich, number 103. He won the championship national title last year over at Japan, and he's just kind of warming up here in the U.S. Supercross scene, ready to get ready for that April series, and Kyle Lewis makes the move on Matasevich.
He was fighting for his life to hang on to that final transfer spot, and the bad news for both these guys is that Pichon, as you can see right there behind him, was stuck in the gate. He's on the gas. He's caught these guys from dead last.
Kyle Lewis, number 11. And Matasevich, number 103. Very popular rider in Seattle because he had some great runs here.
Well, the crowd reacting to the introductions. He seems to have a lot of fan support up here. Very clever out there on the racetrack, but back to that battle out front. Those guys are scrapping. I thought Huffman would settle for second a little bit more than he has as they got a lap to go. He's putting the pressure on Ryan.
Back to the leader, Ryan Hughes, number 5, with Damon Huffman right behind him there. This is a final lap, the white flag lap in our semifinal round.
They're coming into that double trouble section. They both get through that pretty clean, but now as you see as they head into that whoop section, you just got to get a glimpse there of how many ruts are starting to develop. That whoop section is tough enough. Now they got ruts all the way across.
Ryan Hughes holding his own as they hit the short straightaway going into turn 1. This is the final lap.
These guys have different lines through there. You can see Ryan jumps the second 2. Huffman jumps the next 2. It seems to be about the same in the end, but a lot of different options through there.
We're sticking with the leaders here in the final lap as 2 very fine young riders for the young independent team Extreme. Looks like they'll take 3rd and 4th. The checkered flag for Ryan Hughes. A great run for Ryan. And right behind him, Damon Huffman, Jimmy Button 3rd, and Sean Kalos 4th. Kyle Lewis makes the main event number 11 in 5th position. We'll be back with the words of wisdom from trackside.
As for the lead, Ryan Hughes behind his teammate there, Damon Huffman. You see Damon Huffman gets all crossed up in those ruts right there. Didn't want to take the chance of going over the bars on that big double. Ryan with a little better line goes right around him on the outside.
So 5 more riders qualify, avoiding the LCQ, earning a spot in tonight's main event. Hughes, Huffman, Button, Kalos, and Kyle Lewis. Let's go down to Davey Coombs.
I'm down here with 250cc first heat, or rather semi-winner Ryan Hughes. Ryan, you and your teammate Damon Huffman mixing up out there, but it looks like you guys are both a little tentative on the pass.
Yeah, you know, we're teammates, so we don't want to bump each other, but I think he might have got a little nervous. I was pretty close behind him, so maybe he was just checking my lines out, and because I pulled away a little bit, and then he caught back up, so I think he might have caught some of my lines out that race, but I felt good that time.
Does it put you in a strange position when you're out there dueling with a teammate like that?
Maybe a little bit. I don't want to knock him down and lose the qualifying position, so I'll be a little careful with him.
What about the main event? How do you feel? I know you're not going to have the best pick on the gate, but looks like still a pretty good pick winning the semi.
Yeah, pretty good. You know, I got a good start that time, so hopefully I can get another good start and do the same thing in the main.
All right, let's go back upstairs to Art.
Okay, thank you, Davey Coombs. Almost exhausted Ryan Hughes is going to go back and get ready for that main event, but he had a nice gleam in his eye, did he not, David Bailey?
Well, anytime you can win a race, it's always a good feeling, especially with that kind of talent in there. Although it's a semi, it's still a good win, and you got another look at the racetrack, perhaps got a little looser, and it surprises me. I saw his hand yesterday from Anaheim, and it was swollen up like a pillow, so he's riding in pain.
Here in the semifinal round number 2, as we look down the gate, we see a lot of high numbers, but we've got a lot of excellent riders here in the second semifinal round. Guys like Ezra Lusk, number 34, Larry Ward, there's number 7, John Dowd. He is back after that, well, really vicious crash earlier.
Right. Well, he's coming in here with, he crashed in Minneapolis, and that's why he didn't ride Anaheim. He was a little sore. He decided to come back here and ride. Fell in the first corner, so.
Let's check in with Davey Coombs to see about John Dowd's condition. Davey?
I talked to John Dowd right before the semis. He was standing over there with his mechanic and his fiance. I asked him how he felt. He said he was going to give it a go. He wasn't sure. He kind of shook off the cobwebs from that crash. Keep an eye on John. He's on the far outside, and we'll see if he can shake everything off.
Okay, we've also got some other outstanding riders in this field. Michael Craig, number 17. Buddy Antonez, number 22. Denny Stevenson, 24. We mentioned, I think, Mike Brown, number 9 of the Troy Honda team. Honda of Troy team, along with Larry Brooks on the Yamaha, trying to make the main.
You see what happens, Ezra Lusk, mechanic, is putting a pit board behind Ezra Lusk, right behind his back, and that's because they're lined up by the tunnel, and all that cold air is coming in the tunnel, so he's trying to keep him warm.
30-second board is up. The riders going through their pre-start routine now. A great crowd on hand here at the Kingdome in Seattle for round number 4 of the AMA Supercross season. 5 more riders here in the second semifinal round to qualify for the main event. A lot of riders gunning for only 5 positions, trying to avoid the LCQ. Okay, the board is sideways, and the race for the whole shot is on. Number 36, Larry Brooks, and Michael Craig on the inside of Brooks. Number 17, number 9, Mike Brown sneaking through. Oh, a great battle up front between Honda of Troy riders. Number 9, Mike Brown, and number 17, Michael Craig.
Well, it looks like the Team Honda of Troy semi. You got Larry Ward in this one, too. I would imagine he's going to move up. He goes inside of Denny Stevenson. And John Dowd, who lined up on the outside, is running dead last.
Into the triple, it's Brown, Craig, Lusk, followed by Brooks. And then Larry Ward, number 6, making a move into 3rd.
Well, he looked pretty
now
strong.
Back to point.
Yeah, Larry Ward looked pretty strong. Look at how rutted that whoop sec's getting. An awesome angle from the camera. Now you can see how difficult that is. It's more than just a whoop section this week.
Number 6, Larry Ward, is battling with Ezra Lusk, number 34, right in front of him. That's for number 3 and 4.
You can see the difference of lines again through there. Larry Ward on the inside of Lusk, but Lusk jumps those first 2 jumps and gets through that section clean, but the battle up front is pretty close. I think Michael Craig was a little upset with himself after that heat race, and when he gets mad, he goes fast.
Right now, I'm a little surprised at Mike Brown out in front and holding the lead very well, as he's had kind of a disappointing start on his 250 season.
Well, he's very fast, Art. He looks great all the time in practice, especially yesterday. He was riding around. A little mistake there. He was riding around with the grab.
Mike Craig, his teammate, takes advantage of it. Number 17 and number 34 making a play now on number 9. That's Ezra Lusk. Cuts inside of Mike Brown, but Brown hops back. Oh, what a great battle for second place.
This is just what Mike Brown needs. I was about to say, I think he's been nervous this year, and that hasn't allowed him to ride up to his potential. He's got the speed, but needs to learn how to mix it up with these 250 guys and do it in a relaxed fashion.
Out of the double, it's Craig, Brown, Lusk, and then Larry Ward starting to pull up.
Well, Larry Ward's up the back, and he's in 4th spot, really starting to tighten up this group, putting a lot of pressure on Lusk, who's again putting a lot of pressure on Mike Brown.
Out of the triple, Lusk, a good leaper, inching up closer to Brown. Let's see how they can do in the double treble section. Ezra Lusk on the Suzuki goes into 2nd.
And that's where Ryan Hughes put the pass on Damon Huffman earlier on.
And Larry Ward is moving on. He's battling it out with Mike Brown. Larry Ward, the favorite here in Seattle. He had his lone Supercross victory right here in Seattle's Kingdome back in 1990.
Well, it's an awesome track design tonight, Art, because Larry Ward had that faster line down through the whoops, but he got passed again over that double section because he wasn't able to jump that double from the inside.
Davey Coombs is down trackside with Larry Ward's mechanic. Oh, I don't know if he can hear me at all, Davey. I guess they can now.
And that was a given. He wanted to ride no matter what. That was his biggest deal for the last 2 weeks. He just hated being off the bike. So we went riding Tuesday all day, and he felt really good then. So mostly he was physically tired. The thumb was fine, so I don't think it's bothering him that much tonight. It's just being off the bike for 2 weeks is what's hurting him right now.
All right, let's go back upstairs.
Michael Craig in the lead here in the semifinal round, along with Ezra Lusk in second place, Larry Ward in third, Mike Brown in fourth, and the battle for the transfer spot will be between Denny Stevenson and Larry Brooks a little later on.
You know, I keep making the reference, Art, to these guys getting mad and going fast, but that's what it takes this year. There's so much depth that everyone's going the same pace, and you've got to get fired up. You got to get mean. You got to go into the ring like a boxer does with that anger and fire.
Things are really tightening up for second place once again. Larry Ward, inspired by his native Washingtonians, looks like he wants that second place here in the semi-qualifying.
Oh, he doesn't just want second. He wants the lead. He can see right up to it. You can see how close these guys are. Every time Larry Ward makes a little move, goes to the outside, or gains some time, the crowd reacts to it. You can bet he can hear it.
And look at Ezra Lusk picking up on Michael Craig. Craig, our leader, but Ezra is right there to take advantage of a mishap as they go into the triple.
Lusk with a little different line to that rhythm section, but in the end, it seems to work out about the same.
Step up plateau section. Mike Craig comes out of it well as they go to the finish line jump. Last lap, white flag lap. Ezra Lusk trying to box out, but Mike Craig got the beat on him. Out of the triples, Ezra Lusk really putting the heat on Michael Craig. Oh, what a semifinal round we've got going.
This final time to that whoop section is going to be good. Ezra Lusk making up a lot of time to that whoop section on the inside right there.
It's Mike Craig, Ezra Lusk. Larry Ward went off the racetrack, and he's back in third. No problem for Larry Ward. He's still in a good qualifying position as Mike Brown is in fourth, followed by Larry Brooks. Denny Stevenson, number 24, has just not been able to catch Larry Brooks for that final transfer spot to the main event. Here's the battle for first place. The checkered flag. Michael Craig taking the semifinal round with Ezra Lusk in second and Larry Ward in third. Mike Brown in fourth, and Larry Brooks will take the final spot, as we'll seen some outstanding racing in the semifinal rounds. Michael Craig picking off semi number 2. He's down with Davey Coombs right now.
I'm standing down here with Mike Craig, the winner of the second semi. Mike, I saw you crash really hard in practice. How is your thumb?
Well, I missed my wrist. I was out there about the third lap and behind Jeremy, and I went to a double, and I jumped. I landed in a big rut. My hand came off, and instead of going over the bars, I kind of jumped off the side of the bike and landed a rut with my wrist and kind of tweaked it, but no excuses. I real good in my heat, but crashed twice, kind of stupid crashes. Came back to semi, went out there, and I think I needed time on the track. It's kind of ruddy, and it's going to be good. I'm excited for the main.
All right, we'll see how that time does for Mike in the main event. Back up to you, Art.
Okay, Davey, 18 gate positions are now filled for tonight's main event in the 250 class. We'll hear from the semifinal. Well, no, we're going to get to the 125 main event. The future superstars coming up here at the Kingdom. Mikel Bouchon came from behind to take the LCQ, and Denny Stevenson with a great battle with Brian Deegan, the last two to make the 20 bike field for the 250s. And right now the 125s are taking on a parade lap. Should be great competition, even though Kevin Windham has a string of victories going. David Bailey.
Well, he does look. He's got to be the favorite for sure, Art. But David Pingree, he hung on to him that time. And, you know, I think didn't have quite the speed Pingree or that Windham had, but Windham, you know, is used to pulling away, and he didn't pull away much. So this battle for the lead in the main event could be a little bit closer, especially if Windham doesn't get off the gate good.
Taking a look at the Suzuki starting grid, James Dobb, he's second in the points. Kevin Windham, number 1 in the points. And David Pingree has a mission here tonight.
Well, you can see it in his eyes. They just introduced the guys to the starting gate, and Windham said, I'm going to win 3 in a row, and Pingree said, I don't think so.
Well, Pingree wants to come back from a 5th place finish in the opener for the Western guys at Minnesota and a 7th place finish at Anaheim, where he crashed from 4th to 8th and then came back to 7th. It's just not a very good way for him to start the season, to apply pressure and make a good points race out of the Western Division.
James Dobbs also looking pretty good tonight. And it wouldn't surprise me to see Schnell or somebody like Jeff Willow, maybe even Pedro Gonzalez. Casey Johnson also looked really good in his heat race, so there's plenty of competition in this 125 West like we've seen in the 250s so far. A lot of ruts out there. That could be a factor that, you know, you saw in the 250 class. These guys, you can see the ruts right now as they take the parade lap. There's Dobb checking it out. That whoop section is usually tough, but a lot tougher tonight because of those ruts.
Number 19, James Dobb, out of England, running for Quicksilver. Of course, got the team Suzuki ride when Craig Decker broke his back and was unable to come back on that number 19 machine. But Dobb has a 6th place finish and a 3rd place finish at Anaheim. Is second in points, and Davey Coombs is with our points leader right now. Davey.
Kevin, you talked about starting in a second gear last week. This week, first gear or second gear?
It worked really good for me in the heat. I'm going to go ahead and try a second again. We'll see how we get off.
All right. We'll see how Kevin gets the start. Back up to you, Art.
The very confident Kevin Windham on the Team Yamaha.
That's a bold move, Art, starting in second gear on a 125. They've either got a lot of power in that 125 Yamaha, or he's going to slip that clutch a little longer than normal. So these guys usually like to start in first gear, get that quick burst over the gate so they don't get pinched off by the riders next to him. So if he blows that start, he's going to have to come from behind, and Pingree's good out of the gate.
Well, he does have a fairly long starting track straightaway before that first turn here in Seattle.
That's true, but if you get pinched off by the guys next to you right out of the gate, as you can see where he's lined up there, if he was lined up right next to the starter's box, he's got a little gap over to the guy on the other side. He could squeeze out of there, but if he gets pinched off, I don't care if he's on a 250, he's got nowhere to go.
32nd board is up. When it goes sideways, this great crowd can anticipate within 5 to 10 seconds the gate dropping. Oh, what a shot from behind on James Dobb, number 19.
He's got Schnell lined up just to the inside of him. All the stars, the powerhouses lined up on the inside. That's where the starts have been coming from so far tonight.
Well, I hope that cameraman got out of the way because the rocks will be flying in back. And they're off. It is a madhouse for the front position, but Kevin Windham coming out of it beautifully. He's in number 1 position.
The gamble paid off. Second gear stars seem to prove over the triple. There's only 2 guys able to do that triple.
It's Rusty Holland in second, number 71.
And Casey Johnson and David Pingree with pretty good starts, the Honda Splitfire team.
Nice move by Johnson. Casey Johnson moving into second, number 58. Kevin Windham now starting to move out away from the pack after that good start that he got.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good lead already. The first lap, first time through the whoop section, you can see Casey Johnson having a little trouble through there, but he's moved into second.
Casey Johnson, number 58. Pingree, number 29, now breaks out of the pack. Number 19 is James Dobb. He'll be up there along with Pingree pretty soon.
So it looks like all the favorites have gotten off to good starts. Schnell at the end of that, the tail end of that battle for the up front. But right now, you see all these guys dicing for second place. Windham has already opened up a pretty good lead.
A 3-second lead to be exact on Casey Johnson. Casey Johnson has had some impressive moments throughout the season, but in isolated moments, he hasn't been able to sustain the action.
Well, he's got a great opportunity tonight.
Windham, Johnson, 1 and 2.
Really good dice here with Schnell. Schnell unable to do the double. Back up front, you see the guys going through the whoops, the Splitfire teammates. Pingree got a faster line through the end of that section. Still unable to put any pressure on his teammate. But they're staying pretty close to Windham. Windham opened up a big lead, but it stayed about the same ever since.
Casey Johnson has been very impressive. He was 20th, though, in the first round and 10th in Anaheim, but he's been impressive in this race because he's been able to hold off David Pingree. Pingree unable to gain any time on Kevin Windham.
Well, both of those guys were unable to do the triple that lap, so Windham's doing the triple every lap. These guys are giving up a lot of time every time they can't get over it. I don't know if they messed each other up, but it'd be good if they could push each other, push the pace, and perhaps put pressure on Windham.
It's enabled Kevin Windham to pull out to a 5.5-second lead.
He's really opened it up. You see him working his way through that whoop section. You see he moves his body from side to side, really working that bike. These guys going all over the place. Again, Pingree getting a little bit better line through the last 20 or 30 bumps to that whoop section. Gains a little time on his teammate, but still not close enough to make that pass.
Casey Johnson with a 2-bike link lead for second place. Greg Snell is starting to make a move up toward 4th position right now.
And it looks like what happens is Casey Johnson is uncomfortable with that triple. And because Pingree's following him, Pingree can do that triple, but not with Casey in his way. So if Pingree can get around him, I think he'll pull away and catch Wyndham. I don't know if he'll catch Wyndham, but that's the only shot he's got.
Wyndham, Johnson, Pingree, Daub, and Snell.
Snell, who rode so good last week, unable to put any pressure on anybody. Daub starting to pull away from him now. You got to look back behind the Splitfire team to Daub and Snell, staying about the same. Pingree would double jump that jump coming around into the mechanics area. Now he's starting to try different lines way around the outside. See if it pays off.
Dave Bornbard is Casey Johnson's mechanic, and Davey Coombs is with him now.
Pro circuit riders have any orders not to hit each other in these races?
No, our team doesn't give any orders at all. We just go out and race.
Is Casey, will this be his first podium ever if he holds on to it?
Yeah, for sure. He's done really good in the amateurs, and hopefully he'll just bring that through to the pro ranks.
Okay, that's Dave Finney, back upstairs.
Oh, and just as we left the mechanic, David Pingree leaps past Casey Johnson in a great move.
Well, I thought Pingree was able to do these triple jumps, but because he was following his teammate who wasn't doing it, was really holding him up. Now, Wyndham's got a giant lead now over Pingree, but Pingree's got an open track. I just don't know if he can close that much of a gap in the laps remaining.
But Casey Johnson not willing to let Pingree take away with it, and James Daub is right in back of them along with Snell.
And that surprises me. Pingree had a great run at that triple, and he wasn't able to do it. That leads me to believe that the ruts over there in the face of that jump are getting really deep.
We'll be back with the conclusion of the 125 main event from the Kingdome in Seattle. Kingdome for the 125 main event. Kevin Wyndham, if you've just joined us, is out to a 7.5-second lead on David Pingree. Now in second place is starting to pull away from Casey Johnson. Johnson is going to get pressure from behind James Daub and Greg Snell.
Well, the battle for second place now behind Wyndham, as you see right here on the screen. Looks like he's out cruising. He's still pulling away through the whoop section, through the lappers. Not having any trouble with those guys. We're going to throw the Honda stopwatch on him.
Our Honda stopwatch will give us a good indication as to the interval right now, as here comes Pingree, about an 8-second lead.
Right, you can see that battle for second place is really shaping up because Daub and Snell have closed the gap. They're on the back door of Johnson. They're not that far behind Pingree, so that could be real interesting.
David, you mentioned about the ruts really affecting the riders as far as their speed is concerned. How much effect might it have in the 250 main?
Well, I think it's going to get a lot worse because they don't have a chance to go out there and fix the track with a dozer as they did during the intermission. So it's going to be really bad. I keep talking about the ruts, but it's worth it because it's so difficult when your bike gets buried in them to stay straight. You get cross-rutted and go down, guys are going off the track. We're going to get an idea of what the lap time is here with Wyndham as he comes through. Wow, that's fast.
It is an incredible lap time here at the Seattle Kingdome. Let's go down trackside to Davey Coombs.
Okay, I'm down here with Kenny Germain. This is David Pingree's mechanic. Is Kenny more worried, I'm sorry, David, is David more worried about who's in front of him at this point or who's behind him?
At this point, I think he's looking ahead of Kevin.
What about Casey Johnson, their teammates? Have they ever raced together this close?
No, not this close. Casey's coming a long way.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that battle for a second. Back upstairs.
Here we take a look at Davey Pingree, number 29 from the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team. And Pingree just can't seem to make up any time.
Well, you just got to look at that lap time from Wyndham. No wonder, 54 seconds. That's flying all day. They've been running about 55, 56. Even the 250s were running those lap times. He just shaved off another second.
Pingree going into the whoops and checking out. Behind him is a lapper. And then number 19, James Dobb, in the third place position.
Dobb seems to be the man on the move right now. He moved around Casey Johnson. He seems to be gaining ground right now. Coming through the starting line area, he seems to be catching up to Pingree. Pingree perhaps really trying hard to stay with Wyndham. Got a little nervous. He might be tight. Any number of things could be going on out there, but Dobb is closing fast.
James Dobb last year running in the 125 Eastern Division. Made it 5 times into the top 5. He's gunning right now for his second straight third-place performance, unless he can catch up with number 29.
He's coming into that tricky little step-up section. You see the rut there, got him a little crooked. Unable to do this triple here. That's the difference. Wyndham is still jumping these triples every lap. Doesn't seem to affect him. He's riding right through the ruts. You see him looking over at his mechanic right there. The mechanics area is in a kind of a weird spot.
Davey Coombs down trackside is with Ali Semar, who's Kevin Wyndham's mechanic.
Okay, I'm standing here with Ali Seymour. Ali, what are you telling Kevin at this point in the race? He's way out front, but he's going through lap traffic.
Just stay smooth, look ahead, and watch out for the lappers. Just got to be real smooth and take it easy.
Okay, that's what's going on down here, Art.
I'm not sure with the lap times that Kevin Wyndham, number 38, is making, but he has time to look at a pit board.
Well, that's true. I mean, see right there, he just did the triple again. No one else can even do the triple. He's doing the triple looking around at the fans. So this kid, he's got so much confidence after his first 2 wins. He's done well in the 250, and he's bringing all that confidence to the 125 class.
David Kendon Wyndham, you know, he's got a brilliant future in Supercross. He's got the talent. We know that. We can see it right there. But he's also only 18 years old, and McGrath has 6 years on him. Jeremy can't go on forever. Probably he won't want to run much more than 2 or 3 seasons. And this kid could be the superstar of the future.
Well, I think he will be. That's a definite, Art. I don't see any way that this kid, the way he's improved just from last year to this year, if he keeps improving like he has been, even if he doesn't improve that much, he's already there. He's as fast as the 250s on his 125, and you know, only 18 years old with Bob Hanna coaching him, he could win a lot of races.
Coming off a very disappointing rookie season in 125s, where he was ill as well as got some injuries. Only 18 years old out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Kevin Wyndham is just dominating this 125 Western scene. In fact, in the lone race against the Eastern contention, he dominated that one as well in Minneapolis.
Right, that one found him up against Pichon, who's riding the 250s tonight. Pichon, who won the first round, really was no match for Wyndham. He was in the early laps, but Wyndham just took away with it. Now Dobb, it seemed like Dobb was closing in on the second place Pingree, but he's starting to lose time now.
Casey Johnson has gone down. Schnell has moved into third. Dobb, number 19, is in second place. Davey Coombs.
I'm down here with Tony Berluti. This is James Dobbs' mechanic. Tony, you rode triple on the board. What's that mean to James?
He's not doing this triple over on this side. He needs to do that to catch Pingree. Pingree's in second. His stamina looks a lot better than it has the last 2 races. He's driving really hard.
Okay.
Okay, I stand corrected right now. It's Wyndham, Pingree, and Dobb in third place. Schnell's in fourth after Casey Johnson went down.
Well, I think Berluti hit it right. Wyndham's doing that triple all the time. Pingree's not doing it, so if Dobb can do it, he'll pick up a lot of time. And he'd sure like to get him in that second spot. Wyndham working his way around to the finish line jump. Really looks like just a ride in the park for him. Doesn't even look like he's trying very hard. It's amazing he's turning that fast of a lap.
You know, we've mentioned about the rocks and the chest protectors. It pretty much has to affect the tire selection as well. You don't want too wide a tire. You want to get as narrow as you possibly can to try to get through this rock.
Right, well, the narrower tire selection is going to give you a little bit more wheel spin. It's like riding on a mattress out there.
As Kevin Wyndham dominates the 125 main here in the Kingdom of Seattle, Washington. We'll be back with the finish of 1 lap remaining in the 125 main event. And it's Kevin Wyndham, number 38, after getting the whole shot. It looks like he might go from green flag to checker flag as he does the heel clicker, showing off for the fans with his tremendous lead.
Well, that's really the story, Art. enough confidence to show off like that. No one else can even do that triple tonight.
Wyndham, Pingree, Daub, and Schnell is our order right now as we take a look at Pingree in second place. David Pingree, after breaking in third after the first lap, moved into second place around Casey Johnson, and that's the way the order is stood. The flash bulbs.
Another heel clicker off that triple. This kid's feeling it.
Flash bulbs going off all over the stadium as the checker flag waves for the third straight race in 3 races on the season for Kevin Wyndham. Pingree comes across in second place, number 29. David Pingree, his best finish of the year. I know he's disappointed right now, David, but he needs this kind of consistency if he wants to sneak up in the points race, hoping that something should happen in the future to Kevin Wyndham.
Well, he played it smart. You know, he had an opportunity to try to run up there with Wyndham, but he didn't have the speed to match him, so he played it smart, finished in second. I think that's a good ride for him.
Wyndham, Pingree, and Daub on the...
You're doing. What do you call that?
That's just a heel clicker. I'm doing it over the triple to try to get the fans into this. They seem to like it a lot, and I enjoy doing it for them.
It seems like that's the most popular move since Jeremy invented the knack-knack a couple years ago.
Hopefully I can improve on that and do it as many times as Jeremy's done the knack-knack. But yeah, the crowd seems to really like it.
All right, we got you right before the start. We asked you about how you were going to approach it, first gear, second gear. How'd that work out for you?
It worked awesome. I did a second gear and got off the gate a little slow, but when everybody went to go to shift to second, I was already there and just left it on and was able to get to the first turn first.
What about the rest of the year? Is it possible to win all these 125 West Region events?
I don't know. I'm just taking one race at a time right now. You know, that would definitely be the main goal at this point. But you know, so far, just taking one race at a time has really been the key for me. And you know, not to you know, ease up during the week and just really just take one race at a time and know that these guys are going to be tough and train just as hard.
All right. Well, congratulations to you and your mechanic, Ali Seymour. And behind me, finally, is third place James Daub. James, 2 podiums in a row. You are the makeshift Suzuki guy until the other guy gets back on the bike, making the best out of it, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm trying my best. I mean, we got a bad start. There's no excuse with pros, and I should be out at the front with Kevin from the start. But hopefully by San Diego, keep saying it, everyone else is doing their job. I've just got to do mine and put that bit more effort in so I can hopefully give Kevin a good race and give the fans a good race.
We spoke to your mechanic, Tony Berluti. He was giving you a sign that said triple on it. You're a little tentative on the triples. Why was the reason for that?
I mean, I was doing the one on the right, no problem. The one on the left, I just didn't feel kind of safe with it. I didn't start doing it at the beginning, so the check was training. I was into my rhythm, so. And to be honest, I couldn't even see the pit board. I mean, you go in, you're just racing, so that's what I was doing. I just didn't really see it either.
All right. Well, congratulations to you, James, and we'll see if James can make the most out of that ride as his temporary Suzuki factory ride continues.
Taking a look at number 38, our winner in the 125 main event, Kevin Wyndham, for his 3rd straight victory in the 125 Western Division. Very impressive. It almost makes you want to see him get back on the 250 to see him go up against the big guys, David.
Well, I bet you that's the buzz around in the pits right now because he's got the pace, he's got the confidence. I think you can muscle a 125 around a little bit more on a technical track like this, so that's the plus. He doesn't have the power, but he doesn't seem to be intimidated anymore. Last year he was intimidated. Now he's pretty confident and strong. He thinks he can run with anyone.
As we see on the track, the Dirt Works guys trying to repair it for the 250 main coming up. Let's take a look at the Suzuki point standings for the 125 West. It's Wyndham, a perfect 75 points. In second place with his second podium performance is James Daub with 55 points. Pingree has moved into third in the point standings with Schnell now with 49 points in fourth. The championship celebration is underway for the 125s. We'll go to the best of the best, the 250 Superstar. Washington, as we've just seen the results of the 125 CC class victory by Kevin Wyndham, and we anticipate now an equally great race in the 250s. Of course, Jeremy McGrath dominating. Over the years, this has been a very historic place. Ron Lachine had his first race here in 1983, I believe, as a 16-year-old, and then Rick Johnson got his first Supercross victory here at the Kingdome, ended up with 7 wins here in the Dome.
Well, he had a great time here, and in the contrast to that, I never did well here. Johnson, I was here when he won his first race, 1984. He'd won a lot of races in Japan, but this was his first U.S. Supercross win, and he just rolled on him after that.
Of course, Rick Johnson and Jeremy McGrath, both Honda riders, and maybe that's part of the reason. It is part of the reason why the manufacturer, Honda, has 16 wins here in the Kingdome in Seattle, 5 for Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki with 4. Why didn't you do better here in the Kingdome, David Bailey?
Well, I just don't like the ruts. You know, I wish I see the dozers out here preparing the track. I wish they would have done it when I was riding. A couple of times I came here with a broken foot. That didn't help matters.
That's true. And they had shovels in those days. They kind of tried to patch things up, right?
That doesn't fix it very much. You know, I was just very intimidated by the ruts, and with a broken foot, it made it a little worse. And to make matters worse than that, it was a double night event. So when I came in here uncomfortable, I had to ride here twice. So.
And it was a big benefit to Rick Johnson to have 2 nights of action in a row and do well both nights.
Well, I came here in '86 close to the points lead, and he took over the points lead from me, and I just couldn't make that ground back up.
We take a look at the parade lap of the 250s. Jeremy McGrath, number 1, checking out the nooks and crannies since he was on the track a long time ago in qualifying for the 250.
These riders checking the track out. They're looking for ruts. They're looking for different lines. And, you know, they're just looking for anything they can find. These guys watch the 125 main event before them. They try to see what's going on out there.
Suzuki starting grid, McGrath, Emig, Lamson, all the great names. Mike LaRocco hoping to be in contention here tonight. Damon Huffman, the first-year 250 rider. Albertine, Michael Craig, Damon Bradshaw running better here tonight than he did in Anaheim, that's for sure.
Well, he needs to. That was horrible at Anaheim. He's riding around right behind Jeremy McGrath. You can see him just coming into the screen right there.
Number 28, Damon Bradshaw.
He looked fantastic in that first heat, and that first heat was the most competitive, closest racing I've seen ever, that I can ever remember.
Well, even the last chance qualifier was one of the best races we've seen in a long time, with Mikel Bichon and Denny Stevenson taking the last 2 gate positions. How important is a gate position?
Well, I think tonight critical, because like always, but I think even more so because what we've seen so far is the guys that get off up front stay up front, and it's very tough to make up time, and especially since they fixed all these ruts after that 125 main, everyone's going to run the same pace.
One of the top privateers, Phil Lawrence, took a 2nd place, a 6th place, and a 12th place in Anaheim. Let's go down to Davey Coombs.
One of the things about Phil Lawrence, the guy's got no fear. He's lined up between the 2 heat race winners tonight, Damon Bradshaw and Jeremy McGrath. He's just now finishing his parade lap, but he had no fear getting in between those guys. They're both notorious for throwing a little muscle out there, a couple of elbows on the starts. Let's see what happens to Phil Lawrence on this start. He's number 13.
Is that a good position, Dave?
Well, you put a little pressure on yourself when you line up between 2 guys like that. You see Jeremy just lining up now.
Can I start this race?
Again, Emig's lining up right next to Jeremy. Seems to be doing that. He did it the first 2 rounds. You put a lot of pressure on yourself because you know those guys are going to get out quick, and it forces you to do the same.
Jeremy McGrath and his mechanic Skip Norfolk. Jeremy looking down.
Well, I don't know what he's looking at, but you can see a lot of the mechanics there. They got a banner behind Lamson right there because the starting line is right near the tunnel. All that cold air comes through there.
The 30-second board is up. When it goes sideways, from 5 to 10 seconds remain before that gate can drop at any time. The riders shaking it out.
Mike Craig, who usually gets off to a good start, he's lined up all the way on the inside. Next to him is Hughes, then LaRocco.
And they're revving it up. And we're all set to go for the 250 main event. It is Craig Albertine, number 16 on the Suzuki, with McGrath to the outside.
McGrath almost in last place. Horrible start.
Oh, my goodness. And the crowd is excited because Larry Ward is our leader.
This looks like Anaheim last year. Larry Ward with the whole shot and McGrath buried in the pack.
Jeremy McGrath in 10th position right now.
Oh, he's got a long ways to go. He still hasn't even come by our screen there. He just went by.
Larry Ward, Ezra Lusk, Lamson.
McGrath is right behind Damon Huffman, who also got off to a bad start. This is going to be a good one.
Jeremy McGrath, officially, I think we'll find out, made the first turn in 11th position. Here's Larry Ward, number 6, in his first race back since getting the cast off a thumb that he fractured in Europe before the season started. He tried the first race of the year in Orlando and slowed down to a 15th position after starting in 6th. That thumb was just too painful. Here's Jeremy McGrath, Larry Ward, Ezra Lusk, James Dobb, Albertine.
And there you see McGrath, he's still in 10th place. Unable to make up any time. This track is really tough to pass on. You see, he tried to go to the inside of Mike Brown right there. Really to no avail. Now he's going to try the outside. Just nowhere to go, but out front, Larry Ward, this is a great opportunity because Ezra Lusk, then Greg Albertine, then Lamson. I don't think that Larry Ward is that intimidated by these guys, and he's already starting to pull away.
Ward, if he has anything left condition-wise in this 20-lap race, that'll be an interesting question later on. Right now, he's making the most of it.
Well, that's true, Art, but the guys that I really believe that can come up and challenge him are buried in the pack. They're going to use a lot of energy by the time they even get close to him, so I think it'll be evenly matched.
Larry Ward over the finish line jump. Ezra Lusk right behind him. We talked with Larry Ward earlier about being a little bit nervous in his first event since getting that cast off.
Well, I got my cast off Monday night, and I went out Tuesday not really knowing what to expect. And I jumped on the bike, and within 10 minutes, I was jumping all the big jumps and stuff, and it wasn't bothering me too bad. So I talked it over with my team manager at Kehoe and Phil Alderton, the owner of Honda Troy team, and I said, shoot, let's go ahead and try to race. So we went out there. I'm going to try to ride press day. And, I wanted to ride Seattle, and it's going to be really hard for me to come back. My first race, I'm going to be nervous, and I'm a little bit behind because I haven't raced yet this year, and so I figured might as well come back at Seattle. That way I have the crowd on my side, and I get a little extra adrenaline edge at Seattle, so I think that'll help me. Because I'd like to come back with a top 5 finish my first race back. I think that'd be real strong, and that'd give me confidence for the rest of the year.
A courageous performance right now for Larry Ward, number 6, coming back to his own native land as he grew up in the state of Washington, now lives in South Carolina. Larry Ward with about a 3-second lead on Ezra Lusk. Jeremy McGrath, trying to weed his way up through the crowd, is now making some passes in the whoops.
You can see him right there, right next to Brian Swink. He's going to the outside. He's already moved around Damon Huffman and left him in the dust. So McGrath has got a fast pace, but he's got all these guys in front of him that are going to be stealing those best lines. So Jeremy's going to have to get really creative tonight. He's going to have a lot left to deal with Larry Ward.
Number 23, Brian Swink, who had some good runs in the heat races. And Jeremy is having trouble really finding a good line around him.
Well, it's the fastest line around this track, and he's got 5 or 6 guys all taking those best lines. Look at that, 3 guys right in front of him. He's got nowhere left to go, but he makes the move around the outside of Swing.
Let's go down to the track side to Davey Combs.
Okay, I'm standing here with Sean Persinger. He's going to lean out and give Larry Ward a signal. This has got to be a surprise for everyone. The fans, the factories. Larry Ward's first ride back. He's done this well. Sean, how is Larry's stamina?
Right now he's riding really good. We're only about 5 laps into it, and he's keeping a really strong pace the whole race. To his advantage, McGrath got a really crappy start, so I think that's going to pump him up. He knows if he can get out in front of McGrath and McGrath gets a bad start, he can win any race out there. So I think that's half the race right there, is having McGrath have a bad start.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't care what stamina you got, even if you're running short. With a lead like this in front of your hometown crowd with McGrath way back in the pack, you forget all about being tired. You ride just on sheer. You're just running scared out there. He's going to make up for it.
Okay, Larry Ward, number 6, number 30.
Dan, we got a problem down here with
number 4 is Steve Lamson, and look at Jeremy McGrath, number 1. He has now moved up that close, out of the whoops into 5th position.
LaRocco with a problem there. There's a lot of smoke coming out of his bike. That looks like perhaps he's busted the water, the radiator. Water's leaking out onto the pipe. That's where the smoke is. I don't know if he's even going to finish this race, Art.
Could have been a rock that went up into the radiator.
Yeah, I think so. He's already starting to ride slow.
Don't forget, anything can happen here in Seattle. Jeremy McGrath was leading every lap in this race 2 years ago. And he had a flat tire, ending up in third.
Lamson now in a great battle for second with Ezra Lusk. Takes over that spot, blocks him out. Now Larry Ward's going to look back over his shoulder and see Lamson in second. And we know that Larry Ward last year when Anna, look at that, McGrath coming up too. When he looks over his shoulder and sees those guys, if the nerves kick in, that's really going to tell the story.
Steve Lamson, after a horrible start on the season with an 11th and a 14th, and on that 14th in Minneapolis, he got the whole shot but faded with a crash, but he took a third in Anaheim, and his confidence is back up there as he runs in second position.
And you know what? McGrath, who was behind Damon Huffman in the beginning, carved through the pack, and Damon Huffman has hitched a ride just out of your screen right there. There he is. He's actually jumped over the hay bales right there on the inside. He's copying every move McGrath makes. So if McGrath goes to the lead, Huffman's going to be there too.
Here comes Jeremy. Leaping right by Ezra Lusk. Outstanding, weeding his way through this entire field. So it's now the Honda of Troy's Larry Ward, Team Honda Steve Lamson, Team Honda Jeremy McGrath, and Ezra Lusk is having his hands full with Damon Huffman.
And surprisingly, Larry Ward has hung on to the same lead.
What a performance by Jeremy McGrath on this Kingdome track. We'll be back with the finish of our 250 main. Now past his teammate, Steve Lamson.
And he's already starting to cut into that lead. Look how close he is behind Larry Ward. Larry Ward's been there before, and he cracked. But McGrath almost goes down right there, as does Greg Albertine, but he gets going again. Oh, this is the battle that this Seattle crowd wanted to see. Their hometown boy out in front of Jeremy McGrath. McGrath with a bad start, already into second place. Can he put the moves on Larry Ward?
Larry Ward with a 3-second lead on Jeremy McGrath as Jeremy McGrath goes into the double trouble. He's picking up space on Larry Ward. Into the whoops. Let's check it out.
And you can see right over their shoulders, Damon Huffman has moved past Lamson into third spot.
Damon Huffman with an excellent job moving to third. Jeremy McGrath now right on the bumper of Larry Ward. Only a matter of time, wouldn't you say, David Bailey?
Well, at the rate he's caught him, I would say so. Here he comes up the inside.
The fans here at the Kingdome wanting to capture the situation themselves pictorially. The flashbulbs are popping all over.
Well, you can bet Larry Ward's nervous now.
Mike LaRocco is out of the race. Here comes Jeremy McGrath. Larry Ward cuts him off.
Larry Ward did a brilliant move right there, not to let Jeremy cut back underneath him.
He's got the inside. Jeremy McGrath is now our leader. And look at Damon Huffman also trying to sneak in to take second place.
Well, both those guys.
So it's Jeremy McGrath, Damon Huffman, and now Larry Ward along with Steve Lamson in point.
Now, it ain't over yet, Art. Huffman does not think that he thinks he's faster than McGrath. He's not going to let him get away. He's going to put pressure on him. This is the battle now.
That'll be interesting to mark as we go along in this race. 20 grueling laps here in the Kingdome. Very soft soil. It's running out, taking that energy, sucking the energy right out of the riders. Here comes David Huffman on Jeremy McGrath. This is going to be the first race in 250 this year.
Huffman putting the pressure on McGrath. That's something we haven't seen in years. Can McGrath withstand that kind of pressure?
David Bailey, you've been saying all year long that Damon Huffman is the one rider that possibly could challenge Jeremy McGrath. Well, he's getting his shot right now.
We're seeing it right now. Look at Huffman through the whoop section. He's got a beautiful line, putting the pressure on McGrath, and McGrath bobbles.
Denny Stevenson, number 24, gets out of the way as here comes Jeremy McGrath and Damon Huffman. Huffman right on his heels.
They're already starting to, they're pulling away now a little bit from Larry Ward, but no matter how you slice it, a beautiful performance by Larry Ward.
So it's McGrath, Huffman, Ward, Lamson, and Lusk the order. But the real battle is right out front, right where it should be. For the first time this season, Jeremy McGrath, beyond the second lap of the race, has a challenge.
Well, I think it's going to really get interesting when they catch up to the lapped riders. Huffman has the speed. All through the race, he's had the speed. At one point, he was a little further behind Jeremy, but now with a faster line to the whoops.
Here comes David Huffman out of the whoops to the outside. But Jeremy McGrath had a good angle. Huffman! Oh my goodness, bar to bar.
Jeremy McGrath, no, he's got the speed to go up and run with him, and now that he's lost a little time, I'll bet you Huffman, he's got the speed, he's going to catch right back up to McGrath. And
Jeremy McGrath had trouble coming off the big one. As we go to the finish line jump, we'll be right back with this great racing action for the final of the 250. Miss a thing as Jeremy McGrath and Damon Huffman are still going at it, and here's the battle for third. Here's the battle for third as Steve Lamson gets by Larry Ward.
Well, it's been a long time since Larry Ward had to battle with these guys, and I think he's playing it smart right now. Lamson has got a little bit more than he's ready to give.
Huffman is still on the heels of McGrath out front as we see the third place bike, Steve Lamson, number 4, and Larry Ward now. It looks like conditioning might be a factor with Larry Ward.
Oh, I think definitely, and you can't blame him. But right now, Huffman goes by McGrath for the lead.
And McGrath jumps right back out. We go to the whoops. They hippity-hop through the first portion of the whoops, and then the speed factor going into the corner.
But Huffman with that outside line can double over the jump. McGrath knew it. He looked to his side.
Huffman breaking into the corner now, has the angle to take over the lead. This is the first rider, other than Jeremy McGrath, at this point in the race to lead a 250 main event this year.
This could be the story, too. It looks like McGrath maybe shaken up a little bit. He can't believe it. I think he has expected Huffman to come up and challenge him, but maybe it's happened a lot sooner than he thought. Huffman is able to use those long legs to get through that whoop section fast.
Going into the triple, bar to bar. McGrath retakes the lead. They're not far from the lappers now, maybe 4 seconds away from Kyle Lewis.
They're coming into that whoop section again, and watch Huffman right back by on his long legs. I bet you these guys are getting tired, Art. They're starting to roll over that double. They're starting to cover each other's moves. They got a huge lead over third place Lamson.
McGrath was given the inside, and he took it.
These guys, what a gutsy performance by both of them. They keep retaking the lead. I think this is one of the best racetracks that we've seen all year. The best place for Jeremy to get a bad start because of the passing availability. And both these guys carved to the pack, and they're proving it once they're in the lead by passing each other back and forth.
Okay, over the finish line jump as we head for the first triple. McGrath now with about a 4 bike length lead. They go into the double trouble right now.
Yeah, this is the section where Huffman was making a lot of time, though. Back to the whoop section, and you can see the lap riders. There's Kyle Lewis in your screen. See if that plays any factor in this.
Okay, into the Big Dipper. It's Jeremy McGrath, but Huffman is not letting him off the hook. Kyle Lewis gets out of the way wisely.
Oh, Huffman stalled it.
He stalled his bike.
That gives McGrath a huge lead now. I was about to say, Art, that if Huffman can just stay there and apply that pressure, he might force Jeremy to beat himself. But now Huffman way back. He looks over his shoulder over the triple to see where third place is. He might have to settle for second now.
To give some of those people in our audience who don't ride bikes an idea, what might have happened to Damon Huffman when he stalled the bike?
Well, I can tell you, these guys they've got to be exhausted at this point. And when you stall the bike and you got to put it in neutral and pull the clutch in, whatever, try to get that thing restarted and take off, you lose your rhythm. We're going to put the stopwatch on McGrath now to see what kind of lap times they're running. He's got the entire whoop section lead over Damon Huffman now. And there you see third place Lamson. 8-second lead, almost a 7 or 8 second lead over Huffman now. There's the cushion that Jeremy enjoys.
So we got Jeremy McGrath, Damon Huffman, Steve Lamson, Ezra Lusk, and Mikel Pichon is making a move up into 5th position.
I'll tell you what, Art, if Jeremy can pull this off tonight, he has silenced everyone who said, well, he gets off to the lead, he wins easy, he gets out front. He earned this one tonight.
We've got 2 laps to go. It looks like another Jeremy McGrath victory.
Well, it looks like way too much time for Huffman to make up. Now he's actually losing a little bit of ground to Steve Lamson. Lamson can look up there and see him. That's got to give him inspiration as we take a look at McGrath completing a lap. 55 seconds. Slower than the 125. That leads me to believe that he's exhausted.
Jeremy McGrath coming from as far back as our unofficial count had it, 11th place at the start of this race, and then had to go through an exhausting battle with Damon Huffman. Back and forth we went. Huffman Huffman, obviously not intimidated by the three-time champion, but then Huffman stalled that bike out. LaRocco, Swink, Lusk, Albertine is going to try it after break earlier in practice.
You can see the intensity on LaRocco's father's face. That's his mechanic standing right there behind him. A lot of competition in this heat race, and Damon Huffman coming off that excellent battle with McGrath. We'll see if that did anything to his confidence.
Just last week, what a great duel that was, and Michael Craig is well known for challenging Jeremy McGrath right here.